these things. Gets me out of bed.
Yeah.
Anita, it's 15:15. I mean, I don't know how many more people's got to come.
No, I don't. I think we'll just get him prepared, and I think we'll start.
Just filled my form in about 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. So, well, welcome everybody this morning. It's nice to see a bit of light sky this morning. It doesn't look very clear at the moment, but better than, yeah, it looks dry, it doesn't look rainy.
Could you hear anyway?
Yeah. Have you got any? Correspondences obviously on Google Drive, and apologies.
Yeah. There's we've got a few apologies today. What with working and what have you. There's 3 members haven't recorded whether they're going to attend or not, so I don't know what's going on there.
Right. Okay.
Correspondence is in there. The only stuff is that'll be coming through shortly will be the district council meeting on the 25th of November.
Yeah.
So that stuff's just started to come in, but that'll again will be all on our Google Drive.
Yeah, I've had mine. Got it last night.
But otherwise, there's nothing. There's nothing really there.
No. Bank account.
Charity account, again, I haven't heard from Richard. He's one that
No.
hasn't responded. In the charity account, we've got £3,357, and in the general account, £2,472.
Yeah, just with yeah. So that's fine, and I think Richard is coming back soon, isn't he? So hopefully, yeah. So I know Keith spoke to him and that, didn't he, and said that everything was fine. So yeah. So I've got nothing. I haven't visited any of the clubs. I was going to try and get to one of the other Rotary clubs Zoom meetings, but just with going back to work and sorting myself out, it's just been really, really hectic, and work's been really, really full on. So it's, I've just not had the opportunity to, even through Zoom, it's getting in from work and that, and sorting myself out. It's just hectic getting back into that school routine again. But without further ado, unless Irvin's got anything more he wants to.
But just the minutes of the last meeting have been approved by members, so
yeah,
there's nothing further on that.
No, has anybody, and nobody else has got anything to bring forward, have they, at this particular point? No. Well, welcome, David. It's lovely to see you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to come and speak. If we'd have been in your lovely dining room at the hotel, I'd have been doing some acting for you this morning, but I'm not going to do that. But I am going to talk. I've got a little look. There's my talk look. So a little sort of skeleton of what I'm going to talk about. So first of all, I'm going to talk a bit about me and what I do and who I am and all of that. Then I'm going to talk about my parish. And then I'm going to talk about an important new sort of initiative that's happening within the parish that you probably know about already. But I went to visit that initiative yesterday and got the sort of lowdown on it. I'm David, and I'm the vicar of the parish of the Trinity in South Grantham, and my parish is the biggest parish by area and population. The second biggest parish in the Boston deanery. Only Boston town is bigger than mine. I have 17,500 people that live in my parish at the last count, and it stretches from the Somerby Hill roundabout to the roundabout at the A1 on Harlaxton Road, and everything south of the town centre. So as you can imagine, it's a big old area, and I've been here now for I'm in my 9th year. I came in 2012, and I've got about 5 years before I retire, so I ain't planning on going anywhere now. I love doing what I do. It's one of those things that is an incredible privilege, and at the same time carries with it all sorts of heartaches and frustrations and all of those sorts of things. One of the things that I do, and I've done really all my life, and my family's a bit theatrical, is I'm an actor too, and I write my own pieces. I do one-man plays, as it were. And one of the things I've been doing during these interesting times of lockdown, I should have been making a film this year of a piece that I wrote about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, called People of the Passion, which is 5 characters around the Passion of Jesus. One of the things that I aim to do in my dramas is to have a different kind of look at biblical stories and biblical characters. Some people will say to you that the Bible's a dead book and it's all a bit boring and all of that. And I get that in a sense, because, you know, the last time it was added to was about 1800 years ago, 2000 years ago. And so you can imagine how that can date. Of course, it's had revisions and translations and that sort of thing till we get to where we are today. But one of the things that I try to do is help people to see that the Bible's about people. And it's not really about God, it's about people and their interactions with this supreme being, or whatever you like to say about that. But that it's about real people with real lives and real feelings, just like you and me. And that's what I try to do. I try to bring those people alive, give them in some cases, lots of characters, incidental characters are not named. So I like to sort of try and look at situations from potentially incidental people that are not named but might be there, you know. So they tell the story from a different angle and how that story affected them. And I've been writing through lockdown. I'm writing a new piece which I've almost finished putting pen to paper now, which is called Changed. And in one night I'm going to be playing 8 different characters around who've all had encounters with Jesus and how that's changed their lives. So one particular character, I've given her the name Abigail, and there's a story that is told in I think 2 or 3 of the Gospels about a girl and a girl who dies, and she's the daughter of a very important person. And when she was ill, her father heard that Jesus was in the vicinity, and so called to him to come and help, because he knew he would be able to. But in the meantime, as he was on his way, she dies, but he still goes. So I've written this piece, this girl called Abigail. I've given her the name Abigail, which is a biblical name. And I describe this scene from her point of view. In other words, I describe it as an out-of-body experience. So she is looking down at the whole thing taking place, and she describes how she then gets sucked back into her body, and is brought back to life. And then she's talking about all of that, which is experience, which has obviously stayed with her as an older woman, having just had the funeral of her husband. So she talks how she's had years of marriage and got children and grandchildren and all of that, and that all happened because of this. So the other thing that I like to think about is consequence. In other words, what's the consequence of that encounter? So another character that I've written is a character called Bartimaeus. Do put your hand up if I'm boring you. But as a character called Bartimaeus, who was blinded, and there's a very famous story where he asks Jesus to have his sight back, and he regains his sight. And so I talk about some of the issues involved in regaining his sight, and how he has to wear a shade, and and some of the things like who knew camels look like, that sort of thing, so that's quite a comic piece, but carries with it some sort of pathos about, everybody thinks it's all going to be all right once that's happened, but actually it's really difficult. And one of the things that he was doing as a person without sight was he was begging by the side of the road, so he loses his income. It made me think of that wonderful bit with Michael Palin in The Life of Brian, where he says, denarii for an ex cripple, that sort of thing, and talks about Jesus healing him, and how difficult that's then been because he hasn't got an income anymore. So that's the sort of thing that I like to do. And as I say, I should have been making a film this year that was going to go out to the parishes around Lincoln as their sort of Lent support and study material. That project's on hold and will happen. So we've had some interesting times, haven't we? And we as a parish, just like everybody else, has been finding new ways, and praise the Lord for Zoom, as it were, and how wonderful that is, and which enables us to meet together, but meet together safely, and also gives us a platform to speak and all of those wonderful things. And so we, when lockdown started, we had we all downloaded Zoom, which is incredibly easy to do, as you all discover, and started doing Zoom services. And I've got a little altar in my study here, which one of the wonderful things about doing Zoom in my study is I've also got a limited edition print of one of my favourite places in all the world that's not there anymore, Filbert Street, Leicester. I'm a man of Leicester and a huge Leicester City fan, and so I've got that there on my wall, and it's visible during my Zoom services. It's almost like an understanding of holy place in a very, very much secular setting. So we did Zoom services right up through to the middle of August. My colleague Johnny and I took it in turns, and I did a communion one week, and then he would do a service of the word, which is a sort of a morning prayer type service, another week, and we did different things, and it was wonderful in lots of ways. One of the great things I think about Zoom is this whole thing about being able to see each other, greet each other, and have conversations. And kind of it's the sort of best of a bad job, isn't it? Because you guys would normally be sitting around a table eating a nice breakfast and all of that, and have that sort of face-to-face thing, which I think is sort of quintessential for an association to truly work properly. Irvin, you were saying that some of your members are now struggling to come to this when they would sort of readily come out of their house and go to have breakfast, because it's a different thing, isn't it? And it carries a different weight, if you like. There's so much more to meeting than just seeing each other, isn't there? There's all of that wonderful gift of touch and engaging the senses with I mean, what better smell is there than the smell of bacon cooking? Those sorts of things, and the kind of, we can replicate that in our own homes, but we're not sharing it, and so it is difficult, isn't it? We've now gone back to church, but we've only opened, I have two churches, St. John's at Spittlegate and St. Anne's, but we've only at this point opened up St Anne's for public worship simply because it has chairs and not pews, and so we can socially distance the chairs. We've got all the COVID protocols in place and the hand sanitizers, and one of the really difficult things I find is the whole conducting worship in a face covering, which is difficult, but I haven't got any rashes or anything. But it's a tricky thing, isn't it? It is wonderful meeting together and being in the same room together, and we hold socially distanced committee meetings and all those sorts of things at the moment. We don't know how long that will be for, but yeah, so we've been doing that and moving back into church. I've had all my baptisms have been cancelled this year, and my next one isn't booked until April next year. Who knows where we'll be then? All of my weddings have been cancelled, and some are next year and some to the year after. So yeah, it's been sad in that sense, hasn't it? Because those things, baptisms, weddings, they're the sort of lifeblood of what we do, and the way that we interact with our community best, in a way, when they come to us because they want us to perform a service for them, which is wonderful and lovely. And I love a good christening, don't know about you, and I do like a good wedding. But we don't get that many weddings, but it's nevertheless, it's a wonderful thing. So we've been doing all of those things. We now hold Holy Communion service on a Sunday at 10 o'clock in St Anne's. And it's quite, on the one hand, it's wonderful. We've gone paperless. We've got screens up now and everything's on a screen. We're not allowed to sing, so we play music for people to meditate to and sing under their breath, as it were, sing in their hearts. So we do all of that. And when we come to administer communion, we're only allowed to give the congregation the bread and not the wine, because somehow that gets tainted by everyone. According to church authorities, we're not allowed to give the little cups like lots of the like the Methodist Church, the Baptist Church do at communion, because apparently that's, don't quote me on this, not canonical. We're not allowed, it's not within the Church of England rules. And that's another thing that we've learned quite a lot about during this pandemic, the Church of England rules. And finding out that they're kind of more than we'd like to think. And we're not free to do what we would like to do, in a sense, which is very frustrating. So when we give Holy Communion, the congregation stay seated in their little islands of chairs, and I go around the room. It's me that moves and they stay still, to sort of cut down movement. And of course, we're not allowed to have coffee afterwards. People have to go straight off from there, and they go in one door and out the other. So they're getting used to it, and so are we. But it's somehow deficient, and I long for a return to some kind of extra normality, which will seem like luxury and feel like a wonderful thing. How long have I got, Anita?
How are we doing, Irving?
Sorry, I'd muted myself. Yeah, another 5 minutes or so, and leaves a little bit of time for questions, David.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is this new initiative, and it's called Grace. And you've probably seen a bit about it. It was on the front page of the Grantham Journal a couple of weeks ago. And that's come out of the Grantham area COVID-19 support group, and run by a real sort of dynamo called Jane Robb, and a team. You're nodding, and you know Jane. Jane is one of those unstoppable forces, but also has this great gift of persuasion. One of the things, sadly, I don't carry. I carry lots of gifts, but that's one of mine. But she has started this this group called Grace with a team of volunteers, and they are in St John's Church, which is my other church on Spitalgate near the railway station. And she's there every afternoon with her team. And basically, I went to see the project yesterday, and it's gaining interest from people that are outside of that circle. She's had tweets, for example, from Rebecca and Jamie Vardy, who as sort of near Grantham residents want to get involved in the project. And I was asking her, because I said I was coming to talk to you guys, and I was asking her this fantastic project that's already given £750 to the Passage to make sure that Christmas lunches can happen this year. So they have now, that group has funded the Christmas lunches for the Passage, for the homeless. I'm sure you all know about the Passage, don't you? Yeah. And of course about the food bank. And really, Grace is a complement to those organisations, not working against, but working in partnership with them. And I was asking her, I was saying I was coming to talk to you guys, and asking her what I need to tell them about what they're doing and what they need, because you guys, she's aware you have your charity is a really important thing to you, but also you have fingers in lots of pies personally in your businesses and that sort of thing. So I asked her first, how can they get in touch with you? And the simple answer is to join the Facebook page, which is called Grantham Area COVID-19 Support Page, which is on Facebook. And on that page, they have a donate button. So one of the things I said, what do you need? She said, money. So they need money in order to help families to survive over, not just over Christmas. She was saying yesterday that really the key time is going to be after Christmas, in January, when everything's finished, when all that's finished, and there's a sort of an understanding that it's all right. And so we've done Christmas, so we don't need to worry anymore. But actually, it's after Christmas, when all of that's finished, that people begin to struggle even more. So, but they also need things like small electrical items, household items, that if someone gets housed, that they can, like, I bumped into a guy yesterday called Mark, who was in the jitty. I call it a jitty. Do you know what I mean by a jitty?
No.
Or a footpath, the footpath between London Road and Spitalgate, and he was sitting on the steps of the gym, and he was telling me he'd just been rehoused. So people like him might need a kettle, they might need a toaster, they might need something to make toasted sandwiches, or a microwave, or those sorts of things. So it's small household, bits of furniture, toys for children, and they're collecting lots of Christmas presents. They're launching a big raffle in the next at the weekend, so they need good raffle prizes and those sorts of things. Furniture, bed frames, chairs, tables, not mattresses. They can't carry mattresses. But all of those sorts of things are what they need in order to help families. And sadly, at this time, and loads and loads of people are losing their jobs, aren't they? And so, as well as I do, there's going to be more as we go on through this winter period. The government's furlough scheme ended at the end of October, and so those kind of and in this, as people go into towns, go into tier 3, people are obviously not being paid their full wages anymore. So there's there's going to be lots of additional need over the next sort of couple of 2 or 3 months before the weather starts kicking in and being better. And so she just asked me to bring that charity to your knowledge and to help you to understand that a bit more and what they need, and how you as individuals and you as a Rotary Club might help them in their endeavours. But they said, look, one of the things Jane said to me was, tell them to help. Doesn't have to be us. Acts of grace. That's what she talked about. Tell them to carry out acts of grace to individuals, to organisations. And she was very strong in saying, it doesn't have to be us, but don't do nothing. So I'm going to stop there, if that's okay. I seem to have prattled on for a long time.
No, thank you, David. It was really interesting. And as you know, I've met you on numerous occasions with working with Ambergate School and doing our performances at school, and just seeing you introduce us as a school was enough for me to say that when I joined Rotary, it'd be fantastic to hear you speak, because your enthusiasm in what you do it's just so enlightening, and you ooze it, if you know what I mean. And so it was just like, yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear you speak about what you do, because I know you've said to me on numerous occasions, well, I'm not just a vicar, I do drama and I draw and I do this, that and the other. And so it was like, I'd really like to hear more about you as a person, and I found that really, really interesting. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Kevin.
Yeah, David, thank you very much for that. What do you see? I was very interested in your descriptions of the services at St Anne's, but also their limitations, because obviously we're doing all our church services by Zoom out here in Harlexton. And you then mentioned, which is interesting, putting the two together into January, the hardest time. So whilst there are immediate problems to close sharing, what do you see as the long-term problems? Because that's going to go on, and the rhythm, will one of the problems be that the rhythm of the seasons and Easter, etc., and weddings and baptisms, it's all going to get very flat?
I think there's a real potential in that. Thanks for that question. That's really interesting. I think there's potential, and I guess one of the things that's incumbent on us in terms of how we understand what normal means is how we glorify normal. And yeah, weddings can happen, but in a very truncated way. They can happen now, but it's not satisfactory. Christenings can happen, but these days, a baptism, there can easily be 100 people at a baptism. And my daughter, I've got 2 little granddaughters, and she won't get them baptized because she doesn't know who to ask. You know, there's all kinds of family pressures around that. But going into next year, I think we have to find ways of celebrating in a new and innovative way. So, for example, the Easter Day service I did on Zoom this year, I did from my garden. My garden is beautiful. I sit on about half an acre of land, and I was just watching muntjac deer before I came in this morning. And I've got an orchard and all of that sort of thing. So it's about how we can use what we have to give God glory and the people of God pleasure, and help them to worship God in a way that is glorifying and at the same time safe. So next year, I think what I will do, and we can do that now, depending on how long this whole thing goes on, we'll be holding services in my garden. and I've got some wonderful musician friends, John and Debbie Duncan, who may well come and play for us for that. So that's one of the things we'll look to do. But in terms of how we discover glory in this new normal, I think that's still a work in progress. And I think part of it is about listening to the needs of the people and understanding how this current situation helps us to meet that need. Easter, we always have churches together, which is incredibly strong in Grantham. Churches together always have an Easter dawn service, which I've been taking for the last 2 or 3 years at Wyndham Park, and sadly we weren't able to do that this year. And so that's it's not just about the parishes, it's about how Christians across the town work together. One of the things that we're doing for Christmas is we're making like a TV program, which is, we haven't got a title for it yet, but it's going to celebrate the stuff that's going on in Grantham. So it's going to celebrate those charities, but also give, like, St. Wolfram's Choir a chance to sing an anthem. It's going to be some contemporary music from people like Life Church and all of that. So Harbury Lane Methodists are going to be involved. Ian Thacker's going to be doing it also. There are plans to keep God at the forefront of people's hearts and minds, but also about how we can that worshipping in the new normal, I think, is one of those things that's going to tax us and help us to be creative. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
Thank you. I did hear somebody say that they'd sorted their Christmas, that unfortunately at Christmas there was going to be a family tragedy. The turkey was going to fall into the oven and she was going to invite the whole family to the funeral. Because you can have 30.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, 30 at a funeral, yeah. John, you had a question. You're muted. You need to unmute.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you now.
I was just going back to the playwriting. I was interested to know whether any of these plays have been performed.
I did People of the Passion at the Guildhall in April last year, and had quite a nice audience. Went down well. I've been performing People of the Passion in churches around. So I did it at Harlaxton and in various places around the Lincolnshire area. And also I did a new piece which was performed, which is called The Messenger, where I play a single character in that, the Archangel Gabriel. So that's a bit of a comedy piece that I also did at the Guildhall in, I can't remember when that was, but it was before everything kicked off. So that went really well.
Yeah, so they are marketed, as it were, as reenacted biblical stories. It's not that you've used the biblical stories as the plot, as it were, and they just a human scenario, and without necessarily saying that they've got that theme.
No, I don't hide it, but I think one of the things that's really interesting you say about a human scenario, and actually that's the thing that I try to sort of promote the most, that the Bible is an intensely human story. It's the place where humanity and where the human and the divine interact, if you like.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Irvin, would you like to do the vote of thanks for me?
Yes, that'll be an absolute pleasure. David, that's been a most interesting talk. And it's given us food for thought. And I know that you're having the same problems or issues in not being able to meet in person too well in the church as we are in our own club. And as you can see, there's only about a third of the members here at the moment. And I think it is difficult trying to keep the enthusiasm going when you can't meet in person too well. So it's great talk. I would like you to come back sometime when we can get together and show us, give us one of your plays. I think that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Pleasure.
If the members would give a vote of thanks in the normal way, and thank you, David.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm going to leave now because I'm going to see my wife off to work. But genuinely, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed being with you, and hope to see you all again soon.
Yeah, no, thank you,
Thank you.
David.
Bless you all.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Yes. I think that was really interesting.
It's
Really
nice to know we've got a biblical Alan Bennett in our midst.
Yeah, it's lovely. I don't know if any of you really know David very well at all, or met him, but is so lovely, and he doesn't come across like a normal sort of vicar or anything like that. If he didn't have his sort of dog collar on, you wouldn't guess that he was a vicar, because he's just so enthusiastic about everything in life. Is lovely, and the way he deals with our children when they come into the church to do their Christmas performances is amazing. He really calms them down and calms the nerves down and everything. So he's lovely, and that's what gave me the idea about he'd be fantastic as a speaker, just with everything that he does. So yeah, really enjoyed that.
What's his?
When he first came to Grantham, I tried to get him into Rotary. I was in the Mother Club then, and I was deputed to go and talk to him, and I did do. And he was he had some contact with Rotary where he came from in Grimsby or North Lincolnshire somewhere. But obviously he's pretty busy, but he's a very nice guy. And that thought about the Grace Project and the Christmas passage is really opportune, because I've got a comment to make from Andre and I about the passage a little later on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, David.
You just remind me, I didn't get it, of him, David's surname, please.
Shenton.
Yeah.
Shenton.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that, Kevin?
Me?
Yeah.
This Kevin? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I did. I thought there were some really interesting bits. It's really interesting what's going on at a local level, because I think actually the church has shot itself in the foot and really not. It's doing wonderful things at local level, but in our national newses and in this national crisis, where you would normally get the triptych, you've got business, the economy, you've got the government. This time with the scientists and the docs. The other bit of the triptych should be there, the bishops and well-being and everybody else, and it's just not there. It's almost a vacuum. So it's great to see what's going on at a local level, but I think nationally it's missing.
Yeah, and
Which is a great shame.
Yeah, and Jane Robb, who we've met because she came and spoke, is heading up this COVID-19 sort of charity, and the work she's doing. She started it off just really as a voice, and for people to get information on Facebook, and it's took off so much that she's had to get volunteers to help her. It's unbelievable, the work she's doing, and now with the Grace Project, she's had to turn it into a proper, it's massive, the work that they're doing and the help that they are giving. It's amazing. Yes, Irvin.
Yeah, we'd better move on.
Yeah, we're just doing. Yeah, so project reports. So David, from the passage.
Yes, Andre and I delivered £40 worth of food on Monday this week to the Grantham Baptist Church to meet with Chris Thomas, and he told us there's 180 parcels going out every week, and they're all being packed up as we were there. There's such a lot of activity going on. It was really quite extraordinary. And this week at half term, they've had donated 35 meals per day to be given out from the church to people who come to the front door for their children. So that's 35 meals every day. this week. And Andre and I were just talking about this, and we just wondered if we might just make a suggestion to you. We are currently giving £40 bi-monthly to get food for the passage and take it to the Baptist church. And so what we were suggesting was, as you may like to contemplate this, is could we do the £40 per month until June of next year, as opposed to bi-monthly, and not give, as we have done previously, the £100 at Christmas. So take that figure won't come into, that won't be asked for this year. And the Grace Project, we've heard about our donating £750 to that cause anyhow. If we add all that up, the extra between, if we gave monthly rather than bi-monthly and didn't vote on the £100 at Christmas, would be an extra £160 to the end of the Rotary year. It does seem the need is growing, and the point was being made there and has been made previously that come Christmas it's going to get worse, and after Christmas who knows. So that's a proposal from Andre and I, if you'd like to consider that.
Okay, Irvin.
I think originally when we were doing this, when we first set up this, and it's about 3 years we've been supporting Passage, was for the Grantham homeless. I'm just wondering if this is morphing into another food bank.
Well, I think at the moment the Passage is not operating as it used to do by people coming in for a meal, or the homeless or the sofa surfers or whatever coming in to the churches throughout the town. That's not happening now. So those people are part of this 180 as far as we're aware, but the need is stretching far beyond that. And I think the food bank problem is that it is getting the vouchers, as I understand it, which are not, and this is supplementing, you're quite right, some of that activity. It's an issue, but it's certainly ongoing, and you've heard from Jane Robb via Reverend Shenton that it's going to get worse.
What do the other members? Yeah, Kevin.
I'd counter that proposal and say do it at £40 a month and keep the £100 for Christmas. We have got a lot of money. Irvin can tell us the figure sitting in our charity account, and with a national emergency, well, international, let's face it, but a national emergency going on, I agree we shouldn't throw it away all at once. But when we've got a link and they obviously are counting on our money, I would have thought, well, it seems a simple sum. David took out the £100 and said it's going to cost us 160. So therefore, it seems to me, well, I'm not going to count it and put the 100 back in. It's going to cost us 260. That doesn't seem a huge hit on our budget, and the money is just sitting there dead and cold.
Yeah.
That's my view.
Yeah. Has anybody else got any opinions, Irvin?
Yeah, would you just like to put that, that's a counter proposal, if David's happy for that to become the substantive proposal.
I'm happy to amend the proposal to include what Kevin has said, indeed, yeah.
So it's going to be £40 a month apart from December, which would be £100. Is that right?
Okay.
Is that £100 extra to the December £40, or is that the... Is that in addition to or taking place of the December 40?
However, it was done before. If it was a Christmas gift, it's on top. £40 a month with £100 boost for Christmas.
Right. Because we hadn't actually voted on the £100. It's generally done at Christmas. We did it last year, and it's not yet been decided. But of course, you could decide now. And Kevin has put that forward, and I'm quite happy to amend the proposal to include that. Yeah.
Yes, John.
So it'd be £40 a month.
It sounded as though this new organisation has covered the Christmas lunches for the passage, didn't it? So maybe just up our £40 a month that we're proposing the 100 for the Christmas, rather than make an additional. Because I think the £100 that we agreed previously was for the Christmas lunches, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think, well, it was, I suppose, but you could just give that generally, I suppose, as I think John's suggesting, give it so they can just buy more food and just take it down. Because I think the feeling is by Christmas, that 180 per week will have increased. So are you supporting what Kevin is saying then, John? Did I pick that up?
No, it's a counter proposal.
I was just trying to clarify or get us out of that conundrum. But if I'm happy to go with whatever the majority is on it.
The proposal from Kevin at the moment is £40 a month until June next year.
Yeah.
That makes it finite at the moment.
Yeah.
We have to make another decision come June next year.
Yeah.
So it's till June next year. But at Christmas, we will add £100 to that. So it's £40 a month and £180 at Christmas. That's the proposal at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we can review it again in June and make the decision in June as to what we want to do. Yeah, Kevin Hale.
Yeah, I support what Kevin says. The only thing is, I'm not sure, are we adding money to the charity account in any way at the moment? Or are we, obviously we're limited in fundraising, but I'm not sure from our kind of subscriptions and things, do they go into our general account, or does any of that then go into the charity account?
Your monthly subs goes into the general account. At the moment, there's nothing going into the charity account other than money for the lottery.
Right.
For next year's lottery, that money's going into there, and
So
some of that money's already in there.
Are we gradually going to deplete our charity account unless we?
Well, yes. Until we start putting more in, it'll get depleted. We do have a fundraiser in February. Valentine's dance organised at the moment. Whether we'll be able to do it's another thing, but yes, that's what it is at the moment.
Yeah.
As I say, there's 3,357 in the account at the moment.
Yeah.
I agree with Kevin Hale that we've got to be careful. You obviously can't run it all down, but this is an extraordinary time, the like of which I hope we never see again. And if we're going to get out of it, I'm sure there will be many organisations which will be seeing their charitable accounts on a downslope. It's just a case of managing it, that we can't just conserve it. Those people out there need help.
We have a proposal, we have a seconder. Are we in agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is £100 a month, and at Christmas it'll be £180.
Yeah, looks like that's
all agreement.
Thank you. Yeah, carried unanimously.
Yeah, the blind board. Still no contact with anybody. I don't know if anybody else has heard anything.
Yeah. In the minutes of last minute meeting was a telephone number, Anita, which there's an action point for yourself.
Oh, right. I've tried that. I did I did ring that number, but I got no answer. I'll try it again today.
Yeah, there was two numbers to ring in there.
I've got. Yeah, I'm going to try it again today. So I've rang them, but I haven't got nothing. So I'll try it again today. I've made myself a note.
Right.
I'll try again. As soon as I get off this meeting, I'll try it. Museum restoration.
Yeah, well, John Cuzzle had his name down to come, but he's not here this morning. Perhaps he's slept in, I don't know. As far as I'm aware, the doors have all ready, and we're waiting for really an opportunity for Anita, John and myself to get down there, and probably Les as well, to take photographs and get something in the journal.
Yeah.
Keith is still beaving away on the sound desk recording studio. Again, Keith had his name down to come today. I spoke to him yesterday and he said he was coming today, but he's obviously not here. So that's an ongoing project. So we just need a time when we can get together and get down to the and get some publicity, get a photograph opportunity, and get something in the paper if we can.
Yeah. The Century Garden, the Peace Pole donation.
Yes. the cost of the peace pole, which you'll have seen on the comms group, WhatsApp, that's now installed. It's been planted, great, and it looks really, really good.
It does look really good.
Len, who from Alfred and Mablethorpe Rotary Club, he produces these things. He's the district peace officer on the foundation team. I asked him to send me an invoice and I'd get it paid, and he sent back, and I have copied everybody into that reply, was he doesn't want any money for it, but he would like our club to donate the £150 to our foundation on behalf of our own club. One of his comments was, I don't want any arguments about it. So really, instead of paying Alfred and Mablethorpe £150, I would like to propose that we put that £150 on behalf of our members into the annual fund, Rotary Foundation annual fund. So that's the proposal. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anita.
Yeah.
Is everybody in favour of that? That money will come out of our charity account.
Yeah.
Everybody in favour? Thank you very much for that. And just a last request, really. I have again, I've done this on the comms channel. If anybody's got any expenses, if they don't get them in by in a couple of days, well, we're going to close the books, and you're not going to get it. It's just going to be as simple as that. So if you've got expenses, let's have them, and then we need to get our spreadsheet together, and Kevin Hale and I will meet together, and we'll get off the final report to Foundation for the £500 grant we received from John.
Yeah, last meeting you asked me to thank the councillor Clack, Louise Clack, and invite her to a meeting, which I duly did, but I haven't had anything back from her as yet. I'll remind her again after today's meeting. I don't suppose anybody else has heard anything from her, have they?
No.
I'll follow it up again then.
Yeah. So, Irvin, did the drum lessons from Les?
Yeah, I've got a message from, which I'll just read out. Apologies from Les. He's working at the university. Read the drum lessons. Nick concludes his drum lessons this week. Publicity will be arranged, and we did ask if we would get his mum and Nick along to one of our meetings again, just to, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Publicity can be arranged. He does have an invoice, and I'll when Les gets that invoice to me, I'll make sure it gets paid. Oh no, Andre has the invoice apparently.
Right. Okay.
Remembrance Days wreath, Les has got that organised from British Legion.
Yeah.
So again, there'll be an invoice, £17, I believe.
Yeah, £17.50. Yeah.
Have you've got that invoice? Have you?
Yeah, I've got the wreath and the invoice. Yeah.
Well, you'll drop those off to me, will you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. And that was the drum thing.
Yeah.
Christmas cards and polio. Those are on the way to us. I think there's 5 of us. I think we've spent about £36 on Christmas cards.
Yeah, I've had a couple of packs, yeah.
Half of that money will go into our end polio donations.
Yeah, brilliant.
Which is what the project was about.
Yeah. And the shoebox appeal?
I've got 2 boxes left. One for yourself, Ian, if you wouldn't mind popping in and when you're coming past, please. And who else I've got one for?
I haven't had one, I don't think.
No. How are we going to get that to you? Well, at the end of the day, I've got a lot of stuff here for people to pick up.
Yeah, I can call in tomorrow. Are you there?
Yeah, we'll be around somewhere, yes. If I'm not in the house, I'll be up at the workshop.
Yeah, I'm on my way to Yorkshire for a week, assuming I'm allowed to go and still, but
Well, not Yorkshire. Oh my.
Yeah, the lesser known part.
It's grim up north. It's grim up north.
It's getting the visas is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
I knew a bloke who tried to get up there, but he just couldn't get the black pudding stamp.
So yeah, so far there's about 8 being filled, and I've got them back in my workshop here, in my garage down below me here. But once you've got them done, if you can get them to me, please, that would be good.
You've had all mine.
Yeah, Alan Geeson will pick them up on his way through to Denton. He's the organizer.
What's the deadline for that, please, Irvin?
15th of November.
Thanks.
Yeah, but just as soon as you can, Kevin.
Yeah.
Want to be full of seaside rock and bucket and spade.
I think that's it.
Yep. I sent Irvin an email with a prospective new member. She's going to join us on our next meeting. That's Marie Kevin, who helped, who came to the Century Garden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, if she just managed to join the meeting, she might speak a little bit as well. Very, very interesting lady. She has her own sort of charity page as well, called Here to Help Others. Always really, really busy. But yeah, she's lovely. So that is interesting. She lives in Stamford, but she is interested in joining our group because she's the managing director of the abattoir in Grantham. So she's always at work at like 4 in the morning. So our group's lovely for her to join.
She can have a lie in.
Yeah. So she could just.
Was that the abattoir, did you say?
Yeah, she's the managing director of the abattoir in Grantham.
So we might get a visit down there, shall we?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
My word.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to smell it. I hate the smell of abattoir, so good grief.
I hate it. I've been once and I wouldn't have got to go again. I can still smell it now in your mind, can't you?
Yeah.
I think it's the fastest way to becoming a vegetarian there is to go.
It is actually. Yeah. Put you off meat for life, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Yeah.
I haven't had time. No, sorry, go on, Kevin.
Yeah, so it's like somebody said, life is not fair. If you're in a field and a bull is charging, it's no good shouting, I'm a vegetarian.
I only eat grass.
Yeah, you just got to mention meat and minced salt, haven't you? If you would.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to meet up with Joe, Banunsky or whatever they call him.
Joe Bagumsky, yeah.
Yeah, to go up to the what they call it, the forest school, is it?
Yeah, the forest school, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to do that. I'll try and make effort to do that.
Yeah.
Lottery tickets. I think Andrew's pretty confident they're all going to get sold. But
yeah, I've got £100 sat on my table in an envelope to give to Andre.
Yeah.
He said he'd just have the cash for it, so that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, right, okay. But if anybody has still got some tickets to sell and what have you, if you can crack on with that and get the money transferred and the stubs back to Andre so that he can make up the list.
Yeah, mine.
We'll be taking the final draw of the year, of this current year, at our next meeting on the 12th of November.
Sold my last 2 to our cats. They're very hopeful about some extra food next year.
Remembrance Day parade is next week Sunday.
Yeah, week Sunday. So with that, how would people feel about having another sort of posy of flowers done or something from one of the flower shops in Grantham, and just doing and maybe somebody popping along to the civilian service on that Wednesday before? Would anybody be able to go?
Well,
I'll be at work, so.
I don't know.
I'll be in Yorkshire, unfortunately. Hopefully.
Does anybody, what do we think? Is it something we want to do?
Yeah. I'd never heard of it, so it's something new to me.
No. I suppose really, if the members thought it was a sensible thing to do, even if we can't actually go to service, perhaps we could get a plant or something like that put our name on the plant pot and just go and put it there.
Yeah.
So if anybody's viewing it, you know, they can see that our club's made a donation of, or we're thinking about those people. I don't know whether that's a sensible thing to do or not.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice, wouldn't it?
Even if we can't get, none of us can get along to the actual service.
Yeah.
We could still show willing.
Yeah.
And a plant wouldn't cost that much to the club, you know, I don't know, 10 or something like that.
Yeah, it won't cost a lot, would it? How do people feel? What's their thoughts on that?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
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 Can I propose that we spend, and this would come from our general account, not the charity account. I propose that we spend up to £10 on a really nice plant. Put some logo or something on the plant pot, and President goes down there, and we get a photograph of President putting it on in her own time. You know, when you work permits.
Yeah.
Is Irvin, is £10 enough?
What, for a plant?
Really nice.
For a plant, yeah, I would say so. You get quite a nice plant for that sort of money in a plant pot.
I think you might be a bit low on that. Irvin might be a bit higher, but
you might get the pot for that.
What, £20 then maybe?
Yeah.
So the proposal is spend up to £20 on a nice plant and plant pot, which we can get customised. I can do that.
Yeah.
Up to £20. Is that a proposal? Are you proposing that, Kevin?
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Up to £20.
Something that would, you know, something that looks nice and would last. Carry our badge.
Do we have a seconder for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need
Yeah.
carried? Is that carried?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this will come from the general account. This is our general account.
Yeah.
Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm ambivalent really. I don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Just be nice. Just
what happened to the plant afterwards then?
Well, it'd be a plant. It'd be in a plant pot.
Yeah. What happens to it after the service then?
Well, if you get something that's all weather all year round, it'll just stay by the memorial, won't it?
I don't know. Would it?
In John's garden, by the sounds of it.
Well, I think it'd be just nice, and if we've got a photograph, at least we can stick it on our Facebook, or maybe even get something in the journal. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be all right if it's something nice. I'm sure it'll get looked after.
Anyway, I think we're pretty much all okay with that one.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the magazines which come through the letterbox. Thank you, Irvin. That we didn't get a mention on our project.
Yeah, we did. That one has been sat in my garage. That particular magazine has been sat in my garage for about 6 months.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything that was. It was still proposing meetings in April and June.
Yeah, well, that's an old one. It's been sat waiting for members to come and collect them from me, and I got fed up. Well, I kicked this bloody box about 10 times, you know. So I kept falling over it. So I thought, right, I'll get in the car and I'll go and deliver them all. Which I think I did, yes.
That explains a lot.
But the one with our report in, with some reports in, came out as a PDF file because we weren't meeting in person at the district councils. So everybody that would be in the WhatsApp group, What's On group. Time's moving on, President.
Yeah. So I've got nothing else. Has anybody anything else?
Sergeant at Arms. We haven't had a report from him lately.
Yeah, nothing to report. I can see that everybody is in bull boots, polished shoes, and spick and span.
Good. Kevin, Hale.
Yeah, just a conversation about the speaker. I know it's not on the agenda. Deb did ring me up yesterday just to say she had arranged the speaker, but she hadn't managed to contact you, I think. So I was quite happy just to do whatever suits.
Yeah. So the speaker at the next meeting will be Sue Hodgson, who's going to show us how to do a very nice Christmas table decoration. And she's got to make it available for us to auction between ourselves. So hopefully I'll try and get some sealed bids in for those people who don't come along to meetings anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd bid 10 grand from Les. Yeah, so I'm quite happy to do the.
You're doing the following.
Yeah, whatever the date that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Right, that was it.
So the only last thing I've got is there'll be a district council meeting on the 25th of November, but I'll keep members informed at the next meeting.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Great.
So, David, would you like to do the Rotary toast?
It certainly will. If I only had a cup, I'll pretend I've got one in my hand. Okay. So it's Rotary and peace the world over.
Rotary and peace the world over. Thank you.
Careful of those sharp pencils.
Yeah.
David, don't. David, you're invited for a cup of coffee here, and then you'll have a cup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that to pick up a shoebox? Was that or? Yeah, pick up a shoebox, and I'll give you a cup of coffee as well. And a chocolate.
Ian, I'll be sending you an email with something I would like to propose for you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
I'm technically on holiday this week.
Oh, it's all right.
In sunny Walsall.
Oh, okay.
I'm not allowed out of the house, but yeah, no, send it and I'll answer next week.
Yeah, no problems. It's not vital. It's just something for you to think about.
Do you go into tier 3 there then, Ian?
No. Newark is though. Our daughter